Hey everyone, Corey here with mindfulBit, and today I just wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about the ego and how it gets in the way of effective communication and truly finding your authentic creative self, which allows you to really succeed and grow both personally and professionally. The ego can come into play in numerous ways. A lot of time it shows up as that little voice in your head that's telling you you're not good enough, you shouldn't be here, there are tons of people out there with more experience than you, you're just getting started, you're never going to be able to do this. It can come up and basically just completely wreck your confidence. It stops you from taking chances, it stops you from speaking up. It gets in the way of how you talk to your loved ones, your friends, your coworkers. Your ego really is a dangerous thing. And you can't be upset with the ego because it was developed in your childhood and you learned these coping mechanisms and it was created to protect you. And the way you interact with the world was created as a child to protect you based on certain experiences you had. Now, I don't know what those are. They could be different than mine, obviously. But the ego was formed to keep you safe and stop you from standing out, and that was very beneficial when your survival really was dependent on how well you were accepted by the social group. So it's kind of a evolutionary thing that we just sort of haven't caught up with, kind of like our need to eat fatty and greasy foods. You know, back in caveman days, it was really hard to get a meal. So we really valued those big, fat, greasy meals over something more healthy because it was just chock full of calories. And so the ego is kind of one of those same things that we just sort of haven't grown out of yet. And it really prevents us from getting where we want to be. So here's some tips and tricks as you're going through life and going through your professional career path to sort of tame the ego, keep it down, and move through it. So the first thing is read this book by Ryan Holiday, Ego is the Enemy. It is a fantastic read. It's short enough. It's only about 200 pages, but it's a smaller book. But you can knock it out and really sit with it. It's going to be hard material to read because your ego is going to say, oh, you don't need to read this, or this doesn't apply to you, or you don't have a problem with ego, which is the funniest, most meta thing your ego could tell you. But number one, read that book and sit with it, sit with your findings for a little while. Number two, now that you've identified it and what it looks like and how your ego can talk to you, just take a few weeks and just make mental notes of every time it comes up. Don't try to fix it yet. We're just identifying it. So just make a mental note. Oh, my ego tends to come up under this situation, or, my ego shows up when this person talks to me this way. And just fill that out. Don't try to change your behaviors just yet because you don't want to overwhelm yourself. Okay? The next phase is to slowly start to modify your behavior. If you realize that your ego comes out while you're talking to one specific person in the office, let's really drill down and find out why. Why do you feel the need to let your ego communicate with this person as opposed to your true authentic self? And a lot of times, this is where communication breaks down. I say software developers and people in technology in general, they love, love, love to sound smart. They love to throw out big words. They love to prove that they know every data structure or design pattern and running times of stuff that's completely irrelevant. Data structures have their place, but tell me the last time you used a heap in your professional life. It's a rare thing. It's good to know, but people wear those as badges of honor, and it makes them feel good and it makes them feel secure and smart. And you hear those words smart thrown out there a lot, and I kind of see that as a red flag these days. If I have a company that tells me they're full of smart people, we've got all these smart people, I think to myself, well, you also have a bunch of people who don't know how to communicate. And it's not mutually, exclusive. You can have smart people that can communicate. But what I've noticed is developers, they don't want to communicate. They want to protect their ego because they're always scared of being found out that they shouldn't be a developer. We have this mindset that we aren't true developers until we do X. And I'll tell you, X never comes. You're always learning, you're always improving, you're always becoming a better developer. There's never a day where you're going to wake up and say, ah, I'm a developer now. I've done this and this and this. That doesn't happen because the industry changes so fast. You know, the fact that I coded something this year doesn't mean that next year it's going to be relevant still. What makes a good developer is soft skills, communication, time management, evaluating risk, designing really nice solutions that are scalable. Um, all these things make up a software developer. So it's not the fact that you can write code or that Johnson's algorithm or something like that. That's not, in my book, that's not what makes you valuable. Your value is your ability to come in with an attitude of openness, a hunger for learning, and a passion for knowledge. And your value is also, are we aligned? What is our alignment? Are we both chasing the same goal? Can you take ownership? Things like that. So that's off topic, but it's all interconnected, which you'll find as I do these Let's Chat videos. A lot of these themes will be recurring themes because everything is just so tightly intertwined. That's why when you start to unpack it, you start to notice these little things that come up. So really start to modify your behavior when you feel that ego come up. If it's one person you're talking to, you really drill down and see, okay, is this person talking to me with their ego? Are we both just trying to communicate with our egos, or are we talking authentically? Show some vulnerability if that's the case. When you're talking to this person, tell them you don't know what you're talking about right now, or you're not familiar with it, and just show them that vulnerability. Don't always think you have to have the answer. Don't always think you have to be right. And when someone comes up to your desk and asks, hey, do you know about this? Don't feed them some BS answer just because you're insecure and you don't know. Don't waste their time. And don't waste your time. The correct response to that is, I'm not familiar with that particular piece of the code or that system. I can get up to speed, in X amount of time and get back to you if that's sufficient. But just have that honest, open, candid communication. And if you also notice during meetings or anytime you're presenting, if you're talking with big buzzwords or using, technical terms a lot, you're not trying to talk to your audience. And it is your responsibility to talk to your audience from a place of authenticity, and transfer that value to them and really communicate with them. Like, you want to talk to your audience and connect with your audience on a human level. You don't want to just regurgitate a bunch of facts. You know what I mean? So really try to be open, vulnerable. Notice what it feels like when your ego takes over. That's the main thing, because once you pinpoint what that feels like, you will be able to avoid it in the future and take steps towards taming it. So once again, check this book out, Ego is the Enemy by Ryan Holiday. Ego is going to come up a lot in my conversations with you guys. And I welcome any feedback. Please leave it in the comments below. If you've ever felt like an imposter or you've ever had a run-in with ego, tell me some scenarios. Let me know how it affected you and some steps and tricks you use to take care of it and move forward in your career and your personal life. So hope everyone has a lovely day. Thank you for listening, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.